People do have the right to protest. And I actually think that's a very important right to defend, including the right to protest at our Dáil, right? And this should not be used, the behaviour of the far right, to restrict that, to create a cordon where people can't protest and so on. I think that would very much be to the detriment of everyone's democratic rights. But there is an issue here, and it isn't just about what happened at the Dáil. It's about what's been happening in our country for the last couple of years, whereby far-right activists have been targeting people not for protest. They absolutely have the right to protest, but they've been targeting, intimidating and harassing pharmacists. They've been going into libraries consistently, harassing librarians, harassing people in bookshops, tearing up books. There have been arson attacks, repeated arson attacks on the accommodation of asylum seekers. And what has the Gardaí done about that? So the Gardaí allowed far-right protesters to board a bus in Inch to count refugees. The Gardaí escorted far-right protesters into a library in Swords while preventing counter-protesters.
They would say that they weren't present when people boarded a bus.
That's not as reported at the time. They reported at the time as the Gardaí saying we were trying to facilitate everybody's rights, etc., etc. You do not have a right to board a bus and count refugees. In Sandwich Street, huge numbers of Gardaí there when there was a counter-protest against anti-asylum seeker protest. The counter-protest ended. Within 2 hours, the site where there were tents of asylum seekers had been torn down and burned. And there were no Gardaí present 2 hours later after there being multiple there in the protest. So there are serious questions about how Gardaí are policing and protecting vulnerable people. Like, I'm not surprised we're talking about this now when politicians are targeted, and it's right, politicians should not be targeted. Michael Healy-Rae should not have been targeted in that way. But we weren't really talking about it when asylum seekers are targeted, when librarians are targeted, and I think the Guards didn't take it seriously because this was vulnerable people, as opposed to if you look at when the Debenhams workers were protesting. Women workers trying to prevent stock being left to shop, public order brought in to move them out. You look at the Rossport protest. So people are protesting against power. The Gardaí are brought in to defend power.